please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silent prayer or silent reflection. Thank you. Please be seated. Jared, please take roll.
Mr. Betkowski.
Here.
Mr. Bonarotti.
Here.
Mr. DeMarco.
Here.
Ms. Filiaggi. Here. Mr. Fatulis.
Here.
Mr. Grisbeck.
Here.
Ms. Hallam. Mr. Klein. Mr. Macy.
Here.
Ms. Nacarati-Chapkus.
Here.
Mr. Palmieri.
Here.
Mr. Palmasina.
Here.
Ms. Pritzio. Mr. Walton.
Here.
President Katina.
Here.
We have 13 members present for the moment.
Thank you. We'll begin with the first proclamation. Would you read it, please, Jared?
13120-24 is a proclamation congratulating Ken Rice upon the occasion of his 30 years at KDKA-TV, sponsored by Councilmember Katina and all other members of council.
Mr. Rice, would you come up and join me, please? You're very welcome. Whereas success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing or learning to do. That quote depicts the true essence of Mr. Ken Rice in his 30 years of dedicated service to KDKA-TV and its viewers. He attributes the longevity of his career not only to his talents, but rather to his tireless work ethic. Whereas a native of Chicago, Mr. Rice began his career in journalism while a student at the University of Wisconsin, reporting and anchoring newscasts on the statewide Wisconsin Public Radio Network. He then moved into television reporting for Madison's WISC-TV and eventually anchoring its evening newscasts. And whereas before joining KDK in 1994, Mr. Rice spent 6 years reporting and anchoring for WTAE-TV, launching its 5 p.m. newscast alongside Sally Wiggin in 1992. And whereas in 1994, when U.S. Air Flight 427 crashed on its approach to Pittsburgh, Mr. Rice's live reports from the scene were carried nationwide by the CBS network and across Canada and on the CBS television network. Whereas Mr. Rice has covered a number of notable news events, such as the terrorist attacks of 9/11 in 2001, the notable Q Creek Mine rescue in 2002, the protests at the G20 summit, the police shootings in Stanton Heights in 2009, the Stanley Cup and Super Bowl championship parades, the Pittsburgh Pirates postseason playoff run in 2013, and of course the tragic Squirrel Hill Synagogue shooting in 2018. Whereas Mr. Rice co-anchors the weeknight editions of KDKA TV News at 5, 6, and 11 p.m. For more than 20 years, Mr. Rice has co-hosted the KDPG Sunday Edition, a weekly public affairs program produced by KDKA and the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. He also hosted KDKA's high school quiz program, Hometown High Q, for 11 seasons. Whereas Mr. Rice has been honored with the local, state, and national journalism awards, including a national first place Associated Press Award for Harrisburg Pay Dirt. Other honors include the Golden Quill Awards from the Press Club of Western Pennsylvania and awards from the Radio Television News Directors Association for investigative reporting. In 2021, the Media Association of Pittsburgh honored Mr. Rice with its Outstanding Achievement in Media Award. And whereas, in addition to his anchoring duties, Mr. Rice is a cherished and active member of his community. He developed and taught a TV news reporting course at Point Park University and is frequently called upon to speak at local schools and community organizations. Whereas, he has also served on the board of the Pennsylvania chapter of the MS Society and has long served as an honorary chair of Pittsburgh's annual MS Walk. Mr. Rice has also served on the advisory boards of Pittsburgh Cares and Literacy Pittsburgh. He is a past board member of the Southwestern PA chapter of the American Red Cross and has worked on charitable endeavors with organizations including Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, the Western Pennsylvania chapter of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America, Outreach Teen and Family Services, and the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank. Now, therefore be it resolved that I, Allegheny County Council President, and all members of council do hereby congratulate Ken Rice upon his occasion of his 30 years at KDKA TV, and we commend him for all he has done during his 30 years in broadcasting. Congratulations, Mr. Rice, and thank you for everything you did.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm actually supposed to be on the air right now, so if you guys could give me a note, I could give it to my boss, it would be helpful. I never would have made it 30 years without the support of some very, very talented producers and photographers and video editors and crew members, and especially my fellow reporters and anchors over the years. I've learned from all of them. They've made me a better journalist and a better broadcaster. I came to this region as a young man, still in my 20s, and I fell in love with Pittsburgh. I fell in love with a Pittsburgh girl. My wife, Lauren, is here with me tonight, along with our kids, our grown kids, Maddie and Joe. I just want to publicly thank you for putting up with my wacky schedule over the years, for your constant support, and for sticking up for me whenever anyone made fun of my eyebrows. Thank you, guys. And council, this is a very, very nice honor. It's much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Bring your family up for a picture.
Thank you. This is only half of what I gave you to read, Pat.
There's nothing about your drag racing career.
Can I have you guys just scoot a little bit? There you go. Andy, there like you like her. Okay, just open it up. Sure. Oh, you got to do your job. Sorry.
All right, everybody. Right on me. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Gotcha. Thank you.
Welcome and congratulations. You are in everyone's.
Good to see you.
You can go ahead,
Okay.
Mayor.
Before proceeding, please let the record reflect that Ms. Hallam and Mr. Klein are now with us. 13121-24 is a proclamation honoring William Fisher on the occasion of his 100th birthday, sponsored by Councilmember Klein. I believe he would like to read that into the record.
Well, our honoree is not here tonight, and it's very warm outside, and he is a person of a certain age. So there's been a good deal written about him lately, and so William Fisher, or Bill Fisher, was the principal of Taylor Alderdice High School from 1971 to 1991. And 2.5 weeks ago, he celebrated his 100th birthday. And the class of 74 at Alderdice just celebrated their 50th reunion, and he was there. 2 years before that, at my class's 50th reunion, he came to our 50th reunion as well. And he had an interesting career trajectory. But I think that he was really most noted for the fact that he stepped into a very difficult situation at a very difficult time in our history as a community, as a nation. And he hung in there for 20 years, and he changed the way the school saw itself, and as others understood it as well. And I will tell you that I met him when I was a senior in high school when he became principal, and the fellow he succeeded was an older gentleman. I mean, maybe not Biden's age, but he was, getting up there. And Bill Fisher, I mean, looked like his grandson. And Bill Fisher stepped in, and nothing was ever the same. I mean, he was like a bolt of lightning. In fact, he is someone who, if he sat at his desk in his office for more than 2 minutes, he just thought he'd lose his mind. So he was everywhere in the building. And at some point, I thought there were actually 15 Bill Fishers, because I thought, how could he be in the cafeteria right now? And then I thought I just saw him on the other side of the building in the gym 30 seconds ago. And he was always on the move. His nickname was the Hook, because during that period of time, students could actually leave high school. I mean, there was not security in the high school. So if you wanted to, if you went to a couple classes and decided to move on, you could certainly do that. And you could go where your heart took you. And that was often Frick Park. So Frick Park was about a block from the high school. And so students would often head into the park for, some recreational activity. Or if you remember Chris Farley from Saturday Night Live, they headed into the park and they were probably, as they say, or as he would put it, smoking a doobie. And Bill Fisher, every day, would sprint to that park. His nickname was the Hook, and he'd bring 15, 16 kids out of the park and back into the building. So this is someone who was respected, regarded. I mean, someone for whom his job, the job really mattered to him, and the people that he served really mattered to him as well. So to recognize him on this occasion, we offer this proclamation. Whereas William Fisher, who is deeply appreciated and loved by friends and family, joined together to wish him the happiest of birthdays as he is celebrating his 100th birthday this year. Whereas Mr. Fisher grew up in Garfield and attended Pittsburgh Public Schools, Peabody High School, today Obama Academy. It was there he realized he wanted to pursue an education career. And whereas after graduating high school in 1942, Mr. Fisher enrolled at the University of Pittsburgh, and while enrolled, worked at Liggett's Drugstore, I think that was on Smithfield Street, where he was a dishwasher at the soda fountain. And whereas shortly after beginning college, Mr. Fisher was conscripted to serve in World War II and did not return to campus until 1946. 2 years later, he earned his degree from the Oakland campus. And whereas in 1955, Mr. Fisher received his first teaching position at Pittsburgh Public's former Fifth Avenue High School, a predominantly black school in the city's Bluff neighborhood. He was the first to teach a class in black history in the district and to create parent-teacher organization at a city high school. And whereas by his second year of teaching, Mr. Fisher received the Edgar Stern Award for being one of the 10 best teachers in Pittsburgh. Mr. Fisher spent 13 years teaching at Fifth Avenue High School, and during that time, he also attended Duquesne University, where he earned his master's degree in education. And whereas afterwards, Mr. Fisher went on to serve as vice principal at Westinghouse High School in Homewood, he then returned to Fifth Avenue as principal, a position he held for 2 years before going to Alderdice, where he served as principal from 1971 to 1991. And at that time, Alderdice was the largest high school in the city with 3,200 students. Whereas at Alderdice, Mr. Fisher grappled with racism beginning on his first day, he was not swayed. Instead, he had high expectations for students and staff while being a welcoming presence the teens could go to for support. Mr. Fisher's work paid off when Town and Country magazine declared Alderdice one of the 7 best integrated U.S. high schools. And whereas Mr. Fisher has served as an exemplary role model to many, and his efforts to connect with students will always be remembered as an indelible imprint he has left on his career in education. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Allegheny Council Member Klein, do hereby honor and recognize William Fisher on the occasion of his 100th birthday with sincere congratulations and best wishes for many, many more happy, healthy years. So he's not here, but he's watching, so we can applaud. And I will I will deliver this to him. He resides at Juniper Village, which is a senior community in Forest Hills, and I'll put this in his hands. So, thank you.
13122-24 is a proclamation honoring Louise Stevens on the occasion of her 90th birthday, sponsored by Councilmember Paul Messina. 13123-24 is a proclamation celebrating the 2024 Castle Shannon Community Day, sponsored by Councilmember Paul Mary. 13124-24 is a proclamation recognizing Kathy Decker on achieving Golden Life status with Motor Maids Incorporated, sponsored by Councilmember Betkowski. And 13125-24 is a proclamation recognizing Linda Fisher upon the occasion of her retirement from Anchor Point Counseling Ministry, sponsored by Councilmember Pritzio.
Is there any public comment on agenda items?
Not on agenda items, no.
Approval of minutes?
We have none.
Presentation of appointments?
Also none.
Okay, unfinished business, Committee on Appointment Review for the second reading. 13084-24,
Approving the appointment of Dr. Kathy Elliott to the Juvenile Detention Board of Advisors for a term effective through December 31st, 2026, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Council Member Nakaradi Chapkas?
President Katina, yes. The Committee on Appointment Review met on the June the 25th, 2024, and has returned this appointment as well as the others that we will hear this evening without a recommendation, so a neutral recommendation. Due to a couple of factors that were expressed by council members, the ongoing litigation one, and the opportunity and interest in engaging the county executive office and her team on an opportunity to work collaboratively on this process.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to reject this appointment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, if I could.
Go ahead.
President Katina. I'm wondering if we couldn't bundle these all together like we have done. It is my understanding that this is most likely the fate of the entire slate. So would there be a motion? Could we introduce, my suggestion is we introduce all of the appointments and then have a bundled motion. Would that?
I second that motion.
And to clarify, Councilmember Filiaggi, you mean to bundle the Juvenile Detention Board of Advisors, not,
Yes.
oh, that is all the appointments then? Okay, I
It's
just
my
wanted to make
understanding
sure.
that's all the appointments
Okay.
today, and they're all to do with the juvenile detention.
No
So
objection.
I'm not sure if that's permissible.
I still second it.
Doesn't that require amending the initial action?
I'm going to ask for clarification on this.
Motion. She can, Councilwoman Elliman can withdraw her motion and make a new motion that they bundle together.
I withdraw my motion, and I'd like to make a new motion to bundle all of the appointments on tonight's agenda and reject them.
Reject them all.
Yes. And ask for
I
a second.
I
second that
second that
motion.
motion.
Okay, that motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion now on that motion? Hearing none, we'll move on to, this is, go ahead.
I do have discussion as to the rejection of all the slate by way of a comment, if
Okay.
possible, okay? Thank you very much, President Katina and council members.
But in order to do that, we need to vote on the action before we vote on the individuals that will be impacted by the action.
There's been a motion to reject them all, which has been made and seconded. So Councilman Filiaggi's comment is in order.
Thank you very much. With all due respect to the executive and the administration, the issue of Schumann's imminent opening and the need to address juvenile detention in Allegheny County has been one of your top priorities since you inherited it on November 8th of 2023. Actually, I think it was even sooner because it was one of the main debate topics during the election. Yet it was not until mid-June of 2024, which is like 6 months, that we hear of the reprisal of the Juvenile Advisory Board. From what I understand, it was a complete surprise to my colleagues on council and was given to us up against the summer break, thus leaving all of us very little time to review and contemplate the appointments, let alone the structure of the advisory board. An old adage that comes to mind here is that poor planning on the administration's part does not constitute an emergency on council's part. I will refrain from suggesting that the administration purposely backed council up against a timeline wall, but I think that any claims of urgency are disingenuous and unproductive. Because of the hurried and uncollaborative way in which the administration chose to introduce these appointments, I support the motion to reject the nomination slate in its entirety so as not to waste the time and talents of the nominees until such time that the administration and council can actually collaborate on a path forward to provide adequate safeguarding measures to those housed in the Juvenile Detention Center. I also have it on good authority that many members of County Council are willing and able to be available as early as next week for this collaboration. I also would like to reiterate a comment from the previous meeting, that there's no need to use the needle in a haystack method of member selection. We 15 members of council were elected to represent the 1.2 million citizens of Allegheny County. You don't need to go out and pluck people from the community. You can rely on us to assist the administration and suggest experts of all races, genders, and lived experiences to sit on this board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening?
To clarify the record, I think we should read all the appointments that are being bundled, and I would turn it over to the clerk to do so.
Anyone else comment? Hearing none, go ahead, Jared, and read them.
Okay, before voting, the motion is to reject 13084-24. That's the appointment of Dr. Kathy Elliott to the Juvenile Detention Board of Advisors through December 31st, 2026. All the remainder will be to the same board and with the same expiration date. 13085-24 is the appointment of Richard Garland. 13086-24 is the appointment of Tiffany Sizemore. 13087-24 is the appointment of Christy Troutman. And 13088-24 is the appointment of Michael Williams.
Okay, let's take the roll call vote.
On the motion to reject all of those appointments, Mr. Betkowski.
Yes.
Mr. Bonarati.
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco. Ms. Filiaggi.
Yes?
Mr. Fatulis.
Yes.
Mr. Grisbeck.
Yes.
Ms. Hallam.
Yes.
Mr. Klein.
Yes.
Mr. Macy.
Yes.
Ms. Nacarati-Chapkus.
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri.
Yes.
Mr. Palmasina.
Yes.
Ms. Pritzio.
Yes.
Mr. Walton.
As a result of not being considered and included in the discussion to reject these, I reject the notion of council, and I vote no.
President Katina.
Yes.
Ayes 14, noes 1. The motion to reject passes.
New business ordinance to resolutions, 13126-24.
An ordinance of the County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending Article 210 of the Administrative Code of Allegheny County entitled Assessment Standards and Practices, Section 5-210.03, entitled Established Predetermined Ratio, Common Level Ratio, in order to codify applicable standards for validating sales data to be used in calculating the county's annual common level ratio, sponsored by Councilmembers Filiaggi and Grisbeck.
That will go to Committee on Assessment Practices. New business, 13127-24.
A motion of the Council of Allegheny County expressing the full support of Council for the National Flag Foundation's Light to Unite National Day of Unity on July 4th, 2026, sponsored by Councilmember Katina.
Yes, I'd like to make obviously I was approached to sponsor this. I think everyone saw the resolution in their mailbox. I mean, it's basically, it's non-political. It's to sponsor the 250th of Flag Day. So if anyone has any questions, I'd like to vote on this tonight because I don't believe it's controversial in the least. So is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Anyone have any concerns?
Do we need a motion to waive the second reading first, or are we good?
Not for motion.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone have any concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries.
Liaison report.
Notification of contracts.
We have none.
Go ahead, Bob, with your liaison report.
Okay, as we all have heard in the news and across this region, the technical schools have been closing. And that's your technicians, your carpenters, your welders, your electricians across this great region of ours. I just want to remind everybody, and you may have heard me say this before, we have a program called FireVest. That's Volunteer Emergency Services Training. Through that training, now you have to sign up for a volunteer fire company, and we're running short of volunteer firefighters. All we ask you to do is sign on for 5 years, and for that 5 years, you get 2 years of college education. However, if you're not interested in the curriculum type of a college degree, you can go on and learn the trades. And that's a variety of different trades that we all need in our homes, in our businesses, in our constructions of different businesses and what have you. And it's been studied that 65% of the people in the trades are making more money, that's income, than their college counterparts. So it's an opportunity. It's called FireVest. All you have to do is look it up. I serve on that board. I'm a firefighter myself. Well, all we ask you to do is take firefighter 1, firefighter 2. You don't have to fight fires. However, there are certain requirements, certain hours you have to put in to volunteer for taking care of equipment, fundraising, and things of that nature, record keeping. So it's a great opportunity for someone who wants to learn a trade while we're losing our trade schools. Thank you.
I have a report.
Go ahead.
But before I make my comment, I want a point of clarification to my colleague, Mr. Macy. There's 16 different construction and building trades in the region that are members of the Pittsburgh Building Trades Council. None of those all of those building trades have their own training centers.
Exactly.
None of those training centers are closing or have closed. They are fee-for-service schools like Triangle Tech that are closing. Those building trades are actively seeking recruits on a daily, weekly, monthly, and annual basis. So it's important that we make that delineation.
And what's nice about that?
Let me finish. So, with all due respect, I hear what you're saying, and I'm not trying to diminish in any way, shape, form, or manner your FireVest, but I think it's important that we share correct information in what we say here.
I just mentioned technical schools. The other aspect of it is while they're learning their journeyman status, they're getting paid. So you're right, the trades are doing their job too.
So now, my comment, my liaison report is simple. A week ago, Treasurer Brusselars met with council prior to our last council meeting, and she shared some issues that she deemed important. I posed a question to her regarding the makeup of her staff, leadership positions, and the issue of DEI. She responded honestly and in a straightforward manner. Subsequent to that, she's provided me with additional information and employment opportunities that are available on her staff. I want to commend Treasurer Brusselars for her promptness, her sincerity, and the integrity with which she operates. Those are the kind of practices that all of the counties need to operate with and be forthcoming. Thank you, Treasurer Brusselars.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening? Hearing no one else, public comment on general items?
We had 4 individuals sign up. The first is Gabrielle Lynn. Second is Coleman Rogers. Third is Christian Connor.
Nope.
Last up is Aya Suzuni.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yas Azuni, and I live in Brookline. I know you guys have a break after this, so I'm going to be brief. And I just wanted to say, in the height of the anti-police hype in 2018, 2019, I listened to a 2004 book by Edward Conlon called Blue Blood. I encourage everybody to read or listen to it. He describes the reality of day-to-day experiences of police officers. He eloquently describes the life that's filled with the ugliest that the society sees. And they're always aware that every encounter with suspects can turn deadly. And their job is not easy. And I grew appreciative of the situation, the hardship that they go through, while I continue to live blissfully, unaware of the ugliness that's the underside that's growing in our society. So it was the first time in my life that I actually put myself in someone else's shoes and understood exactly where they came from, and started to appreciate and respect the brave smile they put out to the world while they protect and serve us. So I would like to invite each and every one of you to read something about the Palestinian struggle this break that you have. Anything written by a Palestinian author. Maybe you'll get a new perspective of what's going on there. The other thing is, I just distributed a list of mosques that you guys can visit for Friday prayer, which is the weekly congregation that we have. You're welcome to join at any of these prayers. Friday is usually the biggest day, so you're welcome to come and see. Meet Muslims in the community, talk about the problems that we have, and just good to see your constituents. Thank you very much for your time, and enjoy the long break.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion has been made second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Have a